Hello and welcome. I'm Lori Becker, President and Publisher of the Nashville Business Journal. And today I had the opportunity to spend some time with one of our 2020 Most Admired CEOs, Marshall Crawford. Marshall is the President and CEO of the Housing Fund, a nonprofit organization founded in 1996 to finance affordable housing and neighborhood revitalization projects throughout Middle Tennessee. Thank you for joining me today, Marshall.
No problem. And thank you, Lori, for having me. And thank you to the Nashville Business Journal for recognizing me as one of 2020's most admired CEOs. You know what? And I'd be remiss if I don't thank also my peers for feeling like I'm worthy of this honor, because I know it's actually a peer selected honor and award. So thank you so very much for all that you do in keeping Nashvillians and the rest of the world abreast of what's happening in Nashville. So thank you.
Well, thank you and congratulations. It's certainly well-deserved recognition.
Well, thank you.
So next year, the Housing Fund will celebrate its 25th anniversary. When you reflect on that milestone for your organization, what achievements are you most proud of?
Well, you know, Lori, the Housing Fund has been around 25 years, and that seems to be a long time. But first and foremost, let me thank my predecessors for setting a solid foundation of getting the Housing Fund to this point. You know, Loretta Owens, Paul Johnson, and then Joan Davis, who served as an interim in an interim role prior to me joining, did a wonderful job in establishing the organization and providing some sustainability there. I'd also want to thank current and past board members and staff. When I came on, there are so many people in this community that have served on the board or were actually employed by the Housing Fund. So I also want to thank them for their contributions to the Housing Fund, and also to the three achievements that I really feel most proud about and I'd like to share. You know, first and foremost, it's our numbers. Our numbers speak for themselves. You know, over the 25 years or 24 years, we have helped over 3,500 new homeowners become homeowners throughout the state of Tennessee. In addition to that, during the time of the flood, we helped over 1,200 homeowners rebuild, restore their lives after a devastating impact to the community. With that 35 new homeowners, we provided over $25 million in down payment assistance loans to those individuals to help with closing costs and down payments for being able to afford housing. In addition to that, we've provided over $45 million to individuals and organizations that wanted to acquire and build new affordable housing or rehab affordable housing. Together, we have put together almost $75 million of loan capital out there in the Nashville and Tennessee communities for sustaining home ownership and building new home ownerships. With that 75 million, we've been able to leverage it to be in over $400 million of capital that actually has contributed to creating over 4,900 units of affordable housing. So our numbers speak for themselves, and I'm really proud of that. In addition to that, I'm proud of Laurel House. Many of you may not know, but we own 48 units of affordable housing and also a mixed use development right in the heart of the Gulch, which is a thriving economic engine. And so we're very proud. We're the sole owners of Laurel House, and we're going to continue to provide affordable housing in one of the highest grossing areas in Nashville. And then finally, the longevity of our partnerships. We've maintained some partnerships for a very long time with the mayor's office and the different mayors that have served, with MDHA, with THDA. In addition, we have some long-term financial supporters, local financial institutions and regional financial institutions that continue to support the Housing Fund. And then finally, I would say it's the nonprofit community. We're a part of a collaborative community of nonprofit and even for-profit developers that continue to use our funds. So those are some accomplishments that I'm really proud of, and we will continue to build on that, especially as we bring corporate entities and the corporate industry into being partners with the Housing Fund as well.
So with the record-breaking growth in Nashville in recent years, the need for affordable housing has become one of the city's most pressing concerns.
Right.
why isn't there more affordable housing in Nashville? And what are some of the roadblocks to building more affordable options?
Yeah. So that's a good question. And there's really, two primary reasons on why there isn't, and essentially there are some of the roadblocks as well. When you think about the growth, growth is really about generating revenue for a major city. And what's happening in the city is that the cost of living has gone up in Nashville, and it has gone up significantly. And with that being the case, incomes are not actually keeping up with that growth and that cost of living. So that's a problem on why individuals can't afford housing the way that we think they should, because the income levels are not keeping up with it. And when incomes can't keep up with it, then the other issue, which is really the biggest issue that speaks to this growth, is about supply and demand. The supply of affordable housing and then the demand for it. Growth perpetuates new individuals wanting to move into the area. So they're demanding some of these affordable units, and which are outpricing the individuals that currently live here, or the individuals that are not going to make the income levels to be able to deal with it. So growth actually causes an issue around incomes and around the availability of housing also.
How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the ability to pursue your mission?
Well, actually, it's interesting. It has allowed us to do a phenomenal job in being able to fulfill our mission. Our primary mission is about providing resources and creative leadership. So the pandemic, just like the flood and the tornado, provided an opportunity for us to mobilize resources and get them into the hands of individuals and communities that actually needed them. And we've been able to do that in a way that has allowed us to be successful in fulfilling and living up to our mission of helping low to moderate income individuals, live in the communities that are affordable and healthy. And so the resources that we're able to repurpose, resources that we're able to generate from other contributions have been significant for us. Interesting enough, when the tornado hit, we mobilized and came up, providing again that creative leadership, and came up with what we call the power of 10. We decided, let's find some 10 partnerships that can provide some capital to us to help 100 families restore their lives while improving or rehabbing 1,000 properties. We decided to give grants up to $10,000 to help them utilize that, utilize $100,000 of seed capital, in which we wanted to turn around and leverage over $1 million of being able to generate some additional funds to help the communities. So the power of 10 has been powerful for us. It's allowed us to move that capital and allow us to provide that creative leadership in the community.
So, how is affordable housing and public transportation linked in Nashville?
Well, look, that's a great question, because when you think about the expenses that an individual has, their first largest expense is their housing expense. So many individuals are paying well over 50% of their income on housing. And then with a city like Nashville, the second largest expense is transportation. So many people are unable to live close enough to their jobs that they have to spend additional resources in trying to get back and forth to those jobs. And without a robust transportation system, public transportation system in the city, it makes it difficult. And so it costs a lot more. We know the commutes have been very difficult for a lot of people. And in fact, we made a decision to create a telecommuting policy just prior to the pandemic. And so to help alleviate some of the costs on our own employees. So just think about now what the pandemic has happened, what has allowed individuals to do in working from home, but it's still an expense that has increased significantly on their ability to pay for their housing.
So you've talked about partnerships and the role they played in the history and development of the Housing Fund. The Housing Fund has developed a significant partnership, a new partnership with a major Nashville company to help homeowners after a year of unprecedented financial strain. Can you share details about this partnership with us today?
Oh, absolutely, Lori. And we are excited to announce our partnership with Amazon. Amazon is one of the newest corporations to our Nashville community. And we're just excited that they selected the Housing Fund to be a partner with them in trying to address or provide some solutions to address the affordable housing crisis that we have. Interesting enough, the donation of $2.25 million will go to helping individuals offset the increase in property taxes. We know that recently there was a decision by the Metro government to increase property taxes to address the shortfall of revenue for the city. And so Amazon says, hey, how can we be a partner with this and how can we address this? Well, we told them that offsetting that will help a lot of people sustain the affordable housing that we currently have. So we're going to use that $2.25 million to do three things. Number one, we're going to focus on specific zip codes to really focus on areas where we know that, two, there are low to moderate income individuals. So it will be income restricted and being able to offset some of that cost for them. And then finally, a part of this is making sure that it's owner occupied. When we said sustaining home ownership, we want to make sure that we're helping those individuals that are current homeowners being able to sustain their home ownership. Our primary goal is three things. Number one, we want to leverage that $2.25 million to invite other corporations to participate and to grow the fund. The fund is called the Housing Resiliency Fund. We want to grow it to about $5 million. So we're going to reach out to other corporations to be able to help us. The other thing is that we want to offset the impact that the increase in the property tax is going to cause for individuals. And then the third goal that we want to do is essentially preserve those units, preserve the affordable housing units. You asked me earlier, why isn't there more? Well, the property tax could actually reduce it. So we're going to do everything in our power to preserve those affordable housing units in those affordable communities as well.
So as you said, the fund is being kicked off by Amazon's donation, but how can other local partners get involved if they want to support this new Housing Resiliency Fund?
Yeah, I would tell them to reach out to me. Give me a call. I'll give you my personal cell phone number if they want it. But they can call me, they can email me, and I would love to sit down and have a conversation. The biggest thing or the most important thing about the Amazon Fund is that it's a partnership, meaning that I have a relationship with Michelle Brown at Amazon, and that relationship was cultivated. I don't just want the resources. I also want a relationship there so that we can figure out how to bring more value add to their employees, to the community as a whole. We're not just offering to offset the property taxes. We're also offering an opportunity to connect those individuals with mortgage loan officers that could possibly, or the financial institutions like Citizens Bank that is in that community, who can provide a refinance product to them. We're also going to partner with Northwestern Mutual that is also offering financial planning and helping individuals plan about the future of their assets. And then we're also looking at partnering with a nonprofit organization that can work with the elderly who might need to be able to utilize their equity in doing the reverse mortgage. So I'll tell you, those partnerships are critical because of the relationship. So I would have those corporations just reach out to me, and I'd love to sit down and just talk about how we develop a relationship in addition to contributing to the Housing Resiliency Fund as well.
Wow. Well, what an exciting new program.
Absolutely.
So we are still very much grappling with the pandemic and a struggling economy. But what gives you optimism about 2021?
So Lori, I'm excited about the fact that there are so many people being intentional about how do we look out for our neighbor or how do we take care of our neighbor. I'm optimistic that we will learn from 2020 and do a much better job in taking care of one another. And what I mean by that is that, we have so many people that are low-wage individuals that are the first responders or that are working in the healthcare industry. And they're trying to look out for us. And we also got to look out for them. So I'm optimistic that we're going to do a much better job in taking care of one another. But then finally, as we celebrate this 25 years of accomplishments, that we today start making inroads about what the next 25 years look like and putting that foundation in place so that the Housing Fund will celebrate 50 years in existence with much larger partnerships, with much larger relationships and longevity, that making a difference with more people being homeowners. And we're not having a conversation about affordable housing crisis 50 years from now.
Well, thank you again for joining me today. I look forward to seeing what's ahead in those next 25 years of the Housing Fund.
Well, thank you. And thank you again for all that you do and keeping us aware and promoting our established corporations and nonprofit organizations throughout the entire Nashville and the state of Tennessee, because I know more people than just in Nashville read the Nashville Business Journal. So thank you.